All right, Colin, you love that Jalen Hurts scuttlebutt in Philly so much first hour. We found another one for you, but it involves Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. Listen, I know they're 7-3 and on top of the NFC North, but according to your favorite media outlet, The Athletic, an opposing defensive coach believes Caleb's style of play does not work well with Ben Johnson's offensive style. Adding he believes Johnson is frustrated with Caleb because he doesn't play on time and is uncontrollable. Colin, I know you're excited about Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson and the first place Bears. I'm just telling you right now, enjoy it while it lasts, because this is not how it's going to end up. They're not going to be first place this season, and this Ben Johnson Caleb stuff is going to continue to percolate.
Well, I think Ben Johnson, like a Shanahan, has a structure that he wants his quarterback to play within. And there's always been a little give and take on that, is that, that's why he loves Brock Purdy, because Brock Purdy comes at a reasonable price and is going to do what Kyle says. But Kyle doesn't have any Super Bowls, right? And has kind of had them in his grasp, and they in the fourth quarter, and they can't seal it. So I think this is a position that a lot of coaches deal with. A lot of offensive coaches have a certain structure, but they want you to make, like I said that this weekend, Matt Stafford is more play call reliant. If the initial play doesn't work, he's not going to move around and make something happen like Josh Allen. Sam Darnold is less play call reliant. He'll go to a second and third option athletically, but you get more mistakes. So I think all these offensive coaches, it's a little bit of, I think Bo Nix should run more. Sean Payton doesn't want him to run more.
Wow.
I think he should. So I think when you get a quarterback who is so gifted, this is the push and pull of coaching him. It's not ideal. He will play out of structure. I thought 2 weeks ago when he ran for a touchdown to win at home, I thought Cole Kmet was open. He should have thrown the ball. But they got a touchdown. So I just think this is part and parcel to having a gifted athletic quarterback.
So some of the more advanced stats, I know that some of the counting stats look okay for Caleb, but some of the more advanced stats, success rate, EPA per play, he's like below 25, Colin. Caleb is not as efficient as the 7-3 record indicates. I do think at some point they'll have a wake-up call. I don't know if it's this weekend, because this Pittsburgh team, I'm very low on them.
Yeah.
I do like the Bears here. I just think just keep an eye on Caleb and Ben. I'm not saying this could be McVay and Goff. Remember how McVay moved off Goff and got the guy he wanted? But I wonder if this keeps up. This is first year, maybe second year if it's still going.
Well, if you watch Ben Johnson's body language in games, he gets frustrated.
Yeah.
I didn't think Mike McDonald was frustrated with Sam Darnold despite the 4 picks. That's not what his body language said. He was running the plays. He was trying to make plays. It was a third down. You've got to throw. You're behind the sticks. You're not in a good space. I think you can see Ben's frustration on a pretty regular basis with Caleb.
Yeah, this is an interesting conversation that people keep taking pretty extreme takes on. People either want universal praise on Caleb or universal hate on Caleb. And, we've talked about this going into the season and throughout the season before the Bears were able to pick up any type of momentum about the relationship between Caleb and Ben Johnson. And is Caleb the type of quarterback that Ben Johnson ultimately wants, and blah, 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 blah. And that's where Colin was talking about Tyson Bean and brought up players like Brock Perry like he did here. And they're all things worth considering. They really are. Because there is going to be a style of quarterback that Ben Johnson is going to be able to maximize this Chicago Bears team. And again, a lot of the things that Caleb is showing right now has been elite playmaking abilities, but the other execution aspects of it have not. And that's what's then going to upset Ben Johnson. But he's already shown the other, important aspects of being a quarterback, but certainly not all of them. And so Ben Johnson will always have somewhat of an issue with a quarterback who, if he's like, this is the play, I have this guy schemed open, but you don't hit him. Yes, that is going to drive a quarterback, a coach like a Ben Johnson up the wall, right? It's gonna, and a lot of times can be the difference between winning and losing. Many times it's the difference between winning and losing. And, make no mistake about it, Caleb has shown such elite and awesome flashes, but also not in many stretches as well. And that's why the core of my take has consistently been, this is just year one. I'm sure Ben Johnson has been a bit frustrated with Caleb Williams right now, but that's okay. Yes, Caleb Williams has been, not great at the whole playing on time and in rhythm, etc., etc. But that's okay because this is year one of him learning and being forced to play in a way that he's never had to do. Like as Dan Darren-Olowski kind of talked about this at this point, probably a couple months ago, like Caleb Williams is playing, you know, a brand of football that he's never had to play in his entire career. And all things considered, the fact that he's managed it pretty well and hasn't now lost any of the other core qualities that you would say would make Caleb Williams special has been pretty great. Until year one, to see what we're seeing right now is pretty awesome. It's pretty great. I don't think this Chicago Bears team and Caleb Williams have been this elite special top team in the NFL, right? Like here we're coming rid of the division, taking over the NFC. Like that's not what this team has showed me at all. Just look at what the Cowboys did to the Raiders and look at what the Chicago Bears did to the Raiders, and you know, look what the Bears did to the Cowboys, and it's like, well, Cowboys aren't a great team, so and you know, and then in circles we go, so you know, there's always room for that. And Jackson Dart, you know, for the whole game was out playing Caleb Williams, and that's Jackson Dart with the New York Giants, and that team's a mess and injured, and then you know, he gets knocked out of the game and Brian Dable gets fired, right? So it just kind of shows you how much of a mess that team has been. And I think those are all things that are worthwhile to consider, but I don't think we then have to take it to the next level and say, be on the lookout for this team. And Caleb Williams, he's about to implode right now. And Caleb's about to implode, and some of the advanced analytics, and yes, a lot of the advanced analytics are not in his favor. And here's the thing, though, if we just look at week 11, a game that I watched, right? Like Caleb Williams, the advanced analytics are like, I don't know, you know, Justin Fields reportedly played better than Caleb in that game against the Patriots than what Caleb Williams did. And it's like, I don't believe that. Okay? You know, like I don't find that to be true. Even Matthew Stafford, who had 2 touchdowns, you know, some of the advanced analytics have him better than Caleb in that game, you know, against Stafford, against the Seahawks. And again, you'd have to start to factor in like quality of defense, who you're throwing to, like all that fun stuff, what the game needed from you and whatnot. But it's just like, was Caleb Williams perfect in that game? Absolutely not. Was he the focal point of that game? Absolutely not. It was the run game, as Tom Brady himself pointed out. But Caleb Williams really ultimately made every single play that he needed to the max. And so, and this is why I said when I did my quarterback mountain, I was like, this game right here is way more impressive to me than whatever he did against the Dallas Cowboys. When that game happened, and I was like, I'm not impressed. Caleb was missing throws all over the place that game, but there were so many wide open people throughout the quarters of the game that he was able to throw for 1,000,000 yards and 1,000,000 touchdowns. And I was like, you know, I'm like, that doesn't move the needle for me. I expect a quarterback to be able to do that. I expect you to be able to hit open receivers, and when you're hitting open receivers all day, I expect your box score to look awesome. So, you know, and that's why at that time I had that taken. People were like frustrated with it. But now here we have a game where he has a 50% completion percentage, 16 for 32, 193 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And I'm like, I'm impressed with that game. I'm impressed with this game. That's the way it works. It's why you got to, you know, you can't be trying to root in any one direction. If you're trying to really root and make Caleb Williams a thing, you see that Cowboys game and you're just like, see, he's amazing. And it's like, let's relax here. And if you really want to hate Caleb Williams, you see the game against the Vikings, you're like, what did he do? 0 touchdown. He didn't even break 200 yards, 50% completion percentage. Passer rating was, I think, 60-something, right? What was his pass rating? 68, I think it was. 68.9, right? And you're like, see, he's not good. And you're like, well, again, it's like, you gotta understand the flow of the game. You gotta figure out what he was asked to do, how this was all unfolding. The defenses he was going up against, division, not division, on the road, not on the road. You know, like, what's the complete story here? I don't think this story is complete right now. I still do think that there is potential for this to go in the wrong direction for Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, but I do think currently it is going in the right direction. Okay, I do think it's very much going in the right direction. And I think if you're a Bears fan, you should be really optimistic and excited about what you're seeing out of Caleb and Ben Johnson and this Bears team. But I still very much do leave the door open for this not quite working how you want it to work. And you know, the whole Ben Johnson comparing it to Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, Well, yes, if there is an elite Matthew Stafford who's being wasted on a team that they're like, let's bring this guy here. We can swap him out for Jared Goff. Like that. It was an incredibly rare situation in this immediate moment. It's like what would be the equivalent of that? Maybe a Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow can't stay healthy. Josh Allen is his own monster. You know, you're not going to swap Lamar Jackson. Obviously not Patrick Mahomes. So it's just like where's that equivalent right now? Who you're just like, this guy can now run Ben Johnson's offense. It could be complete. It could be on time. It could be exactly as you need. He can do all the things that Jared Goff can't do, you know? So it would be all the things that Caleb Williams can't do. And I'm just like, look around the league right now. Who do you want? And they alluded to the story about the Philadelphia Eagles because apparently they're reportedly frustrated with Jalen Hurts or whatever it is, which I'll be making a separate video about that. And it's just like, J-Mac is like, oh, you know, the salary cap situation makes it impossible to move Jalen Hurts. And it's like, who are you moving Jalen Hurts for? What quarterback are you bringing in? M. Jones. Like, I don't know who you're like. What quarterback do you think you're just magically going to say, we'll move on from Jalen Hurts? Like, the only other quarterback would be Tanner McKee, and you have him in the building. So, you know, is he elite? Is Tanner McKee elite? Is Tanner McKee better than Jalen Hurts? And if you reach that conclusion, then it doesn't matter what the salary cap situation is, what the dead cap is, like, you'd move on. You would make a bold decision and move on from Jane, but otherwise from Jalen. But otherwise, who are you swapping out? Who are you like, we'll get rid of Jalen and we'll bring in, like, who's that quarterback? It's one thing if Justin Fields, who the Bears obviously well to know Justin Fields has been a great quarterback. He's doing everything he can. He's balling, but the Jets are just a joke. They're a mess of a franchise. They can't get the defense right. They can't get the offense right. The coach's been a revolving door of coaches. Kind of like what was happening with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And you're just like, all right, let's swap. Let's take Justin Herbert. Let's take Justin Fields. That's obviously not the situations now. So, you know, I don't know. Unless Tyson Bean is that guy. And if he is that guy, then I don't know. Then the football is just a W, then the NFL is just a wild, wild place. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears and the potential for Ben Johnson to be frustrated with uncontrollable Caleb Williams? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So you agree with me or disagree with me? Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here. Absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.